What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Soulvice. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you guys are all safe and healthy out there. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Nike Air Max 2090. This is the infrared colorway that they just dropped for Air Max Day. They dropped this at the exact same time as giving us an inverted colorway of the really popular Atmos Duck Camo infrared colorway on the Air Max 90. So this definitely has a lot of tie-ins to that shoe in particular, and we're going to go over that in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a full review on these. I'm going to break them down, give you all the details. I'm going to let you know exactly what I think about them. And as always, I'm going to give you a 4K on-feet look at them as well. So let's go ahead and get into the review. So Air Max Day 2020 just passed, and this year is a special year because it's the 30th anniversary of my favorite Air Max and one of my favorite shoes of all time, and one of the most popular Air Maxes that have ever released, that being the Air Max 90. So Nike wanted to do something a little special for us. So what they did, like I mentioned, they dropped an inverted colorway of one of the most popular Air Max 90 colorways of all time, which is the Atmos Duck Camo. This year, unfortunately, it wasn't an actual Atmos collaboration like the first colorway was, but that didn't really have any effect on how much people wanted them. I wasn't able to cop a pair. They sold out instantly. So unfortunately, I didn't get those. However, I did get these. These are still sitting on Nike.com, so you can grab a pair yourself if you want them, so they don't have as much hype around them. But I think that's a good thing because I think these are actually a pretty decent sneaker. So if anybody out there wants them, not too hard to cop a pair for yourself. So right off the bat with the name Air Max 2090, you know that they're going to be referencing the Air Max 90, which I think they've done a great job at taking the Air Max 90 and referencing it and paying homage, while at the same time keeping this design fresh. And it's a really nice modern take on a Nike lifestyle sneaker. So they did drop a couple of different colorways for the Air Max 2090. They had like a white pair that was like, I think it was like a platinum 10 or pure platinum, something like that. And then they had these. These are a direct tie-in to that Duck Camo colorway of the Air Max 90. So the colorway on these is going to be infrared, black, and dark sage. The box is your standard Nike box, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But let's go ahead and get into the review of the sneaker itself. So one of the first things you'll notice is you do get this OG style Nike Air hang tag. I always love getting those, especially on a sneaker that's either a retro or paying homage to an older Nike sneaker. So that's cool to have. Now the upper here, a lot of different materials that they've used, but I think they've done a good job of tying them all together so that they don't look messy or jumbled or cluttered. It's all pretty sleek. So we'll go ahead and get into that. So the outer kind of shell of this sneaker is this black plastic mesh. This is very similar to the mesh that they've used on a lot of other kind of current Nike sneakers that we've seen released. And then under that, you've got these two pieces that are kind of stitched into one. So down the middle, it almost looks like you've got a detached tongue on these, but not really. So this mesh part right here down the center is kind of tied or stitched to the outer material, which is like almost like a neoprene. It's kind of like the stretchy material. That's where you have the camo print. So I'm trying to get that as best as I can in the B-roll and things like that. But again, one of my only gripes with these is that that camo print is covered up by this mesh. It doesn't really pop out so much. Now on the outer side of these, you'll notice you do have a Nike swoosh here, and it's black on black. So another thing on this shoe that's very subtle, it's a very subtle tie-in to the Atmos Air Max 90s that we've been talking about. So if you've seen that pair, you know the Nike swoosh on that is like a glossy black, either like a snake skin or alligator skin type print on that. You have the same print on here, but this is, again, very thin, very subtle, but again, a nice nod to that pair. And then just below the swoosh, you do have this panel here that's a suede, maybe a synthetic suede, I can't really tell. It looks like suede, it feels like suede, but it doesn't smell like it, and it looks a little bit off. You do have these rounded edges, which a lot of time is a good indicator that it's a synthetic material, but nonetheless, that's the look that they're going for. You have that on the inside as well. Now you'll notice kind of like every year that they come out with a new Air Max, they find a way to make the Air branding look a little bit different, or at least that's what they've been doing as of late. This year we get this really kind of like almost like they took the word Air and then just cut it in half and used the top part of it. So you've got that here as well as on the back. So this panel here, this is obviously very reminiscent to the Nike Air panel that you have on the Air Max 90s on the heel. And they've used, of course, the same shape here, so it's very apparent what sneaker they're referencing. Only this time they've just made it a little bit more modern. This is like a soft rubber, and then you've got the new Nike Air branding there on the heel. Also on the heel, you've got these pull tabs. Interesting that the pull tab on this pair is actually different than on that white or platinum tint pair. This is kind of just like a flat strap, whereas on that pair, it's almost like a rope lace. And on those, I believe there's 3M through that rope lace. So I don't really think that's a pro or a con, just kind of something that I noticed. Now, while we're back here on the heel, I will mention there's a decent amount of padding back here. The material that they use on the inside is very soft. So these are comfortable on foot, at least in the heel area. They really cup your heel, and that's a nice feel back there. And also, while we're talking about the upper, we might as well mention these do come with 3 pairs of laces. They come laced out of the box with this white pair, and then you also get an infrared pair and a black pair as well. Now, normally when you get extra laces with Nikes, they're kind of like zip tied or tied to the shoe with those like little nylon ties. These didn't come attached to the shoe at all. They were just kind of stuffed inside the shoe, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if they ran out of those little ties or they just got lazy on my pair, or that's the way that they're doing it. But that's just something that I thought that I would mention. Now, another detail on the upper here that I do think is pretty unique, and I actually like it quite a bit, is these oval shaped holes that they put in the tongue. So they could have just went with like a normal pull tab, but no, they went with a slanted oval on the tongue itself. So I think that was a way for them to kind of show that they were thinking outside the box on these, and I do like that detail quite a bit. Now, moving down from the upper to what is the most important part of any Air Max, which is going to be the midsole. So of course you've got this gigantic air unit with a window so you can see the air unit. Now, if you compare this to the window of your normal Air Max 90, you can see very, very reminiscent. You have the same lines of, instead of like on the outside of the midsole, it continues onto the back, but a pretty similar shape. And then, of course, if I had a pair of infrared 90s, which I wish I did, you could see even more kind of the tie-in. Hopefully, I'll be getting a pair of infrared 90s the end of this year. Those are supposed to be releasing again. But anyway, on these, again, I think it's a nice way. They've got the lines that kind of continue around the back. This is a very, very modern-looking Air Max with this gigantic unit. Very, as far as I can tell, similar to like the 270. The 720, of course, carried all the way around the shoe. So this is going to be a little bit more like the 270. The feel on foot is very similar to a 270 as far as I can tell, but they claim it's a brand new Air Max unit. I don't really know what the difference is between this and the 270 unit. I haven't really been able to find anything to say other than, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit taller, but very similar other than that. But moving on toward the toe of the midsole here, you do have this very soft, squishy material. This feels a lot like React. It looks a lot like React. So I think it might be React, but I can't find anything in any of the marketing material to confirm that it is or it isn't. I do think it's kind of interesting if it were React that they wouldn't claim that it was anywhere, because I think that that's a pretty big kind of buzzword for them recently, React. I think it's pretty popular. So I don't know if it's just slightly different, but either way, it feels a lot like it. It's very comfortable like React is. Now the outsole on these, another tie-in to the Air Max 90, as you can see the tread pattern is very, very reminiscent, very similar to the Air Max 90. Not exactly the same, but you kind of have the same placement on the flex grooves, and obviously the tread pattern itself. Very, very similar. So again, another nice tie-in to the Air Max 90. Now the insole on these, very standard insole, just kind of like that basic foam material that you get. They say DSC on them, so I don't know if that's like the company that they use to manufacture, like the foam, or maybe that's the branding for the insole itself. I don't know, but it feels like a very basic insole, but you do get this nice Air Max 2090 branding there on the heel. Now there was something on these that I found interesting. I haven't noticed this on any of the other sneakers that I have. On the inside, like under the insole, I don't know if you can see that, but somebody wrote in Sharpie the size of the sneaker. So they wrote 12 in Sharpie. Now I've seen that stamped on the inside of the shoe, but I've never really seen it handwritten. So I don't know if I got like an early pair in the run or something like that. But I just thought it was kind of funny for a mass-produced shoe that they have people like handwriting the size of the shoe on the inside. So as far as the fit goes, I would say these are true to size. Just get your normal size and you'll be okay, I think. But the one thing I will say is there's kind of a downside to current Air Max units, at least in my opinion, since they're so tall. It kind of like has your heel up on an incline, and I feel that my foot kind of slides forward as I'm walking. So it kind of crowds my toe a little bit, even though there's plenty of room. And I'm not somebody who likes to tie my laces super tight. I guess if I did that, it would probably solve that problem. But I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that's kind of what I find to be true, at least on the current Air Max unit. So other than that minor gripe, I'd say the comfortability on these is very good. You've got obviously like that React type material in the midfoot and the toe, so that's nice. The upper, the materials used here are comfortable as well. You've got that soft kind of stretchy, almost neoprene-like material on the upper. So yeah, overall, I'd say these are a pretty comfortable shoe. Now we do have one more gripe that I feel like I need to mention with these. With the $160 price tag, I really wish that the craftsmanship was better on these. Now, at least for my pair, I haven't watched any other reviews for this shoe yet, so I don't know if everybody else's pair is the same. But on mine, I've got a lot of glue stains. And I've got glue stains in places that really doesn't make sense to me. So I've got a glob of glue up on the Nike check here, which that just doesn't make sense to me. It feels like people were just throwing glue around in the factory. But again, with the $160 price tag, I just feel like they could have done better. They've done better before. And with a launch product, with this tie-in to such a sought-after colorway, I just feel like they could have done better and they should have done better. So that's my last gripe on these. Other than that, I really do like these. I think that they're a good buy for 160 bucks. I feel like since they're sitting, maybe wait for them to go on sale. If these drop down to 130 bucks, 120 bucks, that for me is a definite pickup. They're comfortable, they look good. It's a nice tie-in to a classic colorway. So I think for Air Max Day, they did a good job with these. All right, guys, so if you like these, you like the way they look on feet, go ahead and let me know by giving me a thumbs up on the video. And then down in the comments, let me know if you ended up copying these or if you plan on copying them in the future, maybe when they go on sale. And then other than that, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're notified when I post new videos. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.